So what is it really then that's impacting us more? Is it the fact that we're aging? Or is it the fact that while we're
lifestyle,
we're being exposed to all of these factors that are playing a deeper role? And those factors we can kind of group into three main things: toxins, lifestyle. And lifestyle means everything from like stress to how much on the go you are, to how much sleep you get, to what kind of food you eat, right? All of that. Plus your mitochondrial function. And mitochondrial function is at the crux of it.
I'm Rees. This is the Sofia Unfiltered podcast, where we bring together thought leaders, wellness entrepreneurs, makers, and emerging health leaders. We're here to have raw, unfiltered conversations because sharing your stories has the power to change lives, help others heal, and transform the way we take care of ourselves. Here we go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Sofia Unfiltered. I'm Rees, and in today's episode, we're diving into fertility with Dr. Simmons. She's a double board certified naturopathic doctor and endocrinologist specializing in fertility. We're honored and excited to have her here with us to talk about all the things that women don't normally talk about. So whether you're starting your fertility journey or looking for a little insight into women's health, this episode's for you. Here we go.
But first of all, I'm going to also start off a question. Is it still today, is fertility still kind of a taboo topic? Because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it until it's too late. And by too late, I just mean you're trying and then you're like, oh, right.
I feel like it's got a weird dichotomy. Like it's almost not taboo anymore on social media. And
Right.
there are so many people that will open accounts just for their fertility journey, right?
Okay.
So people want to talk about it. But what's weird is that we don't still want to share about it in our personal spaces. So family and friends is a very sensitive thing, right? Because
nobody
the fear is
to ask questions.
Right. The fear is like, oh, I'm going to tell someone I'm trying, and now every single time I see them, I'm going to have to answer to them that I'm not pregnant yet, or that I am pregnant, but I'm like going through it, or whatever.
Or you lost after so many weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, not anymore. And it's
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's why it still feels taboo in our intimate spaces, but in the more social media context, it's becoming like all people want to talk about is fertility, right?
Yeah.
So
we can share. So we're okay to share with strangers, and we're so used to social media platforms, but we still don't want to have those private, personal conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense, actually.
And I think it's partly like our society doesn't have any training in how to talk about it in a way that's meaningful, right? Like,
oh my gosh,
someone
Kamala being called a childless cat lady, and then Jennifer Aniston's like, can you seriously not ever say that to a woman, because you don't ever know where they're at, and
and you don't know what she's been through.
Exactly.
You don't know what she's been through.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's wild. It's really wild. And yeah, I just wish we had better ways to have those conversations, because I feel like intimate conversations can be really supportive if there's someone that knows how to hold space for you and how to like be in it with you, rather than like, oh, have you tried legs up the wall? It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna slap you silly, right? Like, it's not really what you want to hear. Instead of like, oh, tell me more about that. Like, how is it like? What does it feel like? What are you doing? What are you exploring? And like having that space of curiosity is where we come from with it, rather than like trying to problem solve and fix it, which most women really don't want in anything, let alone fertility, right? Like, shut up, I know how to have sex. Like,
and there's also interesting too, when you go on the IVF side, like, I just feel like there's very much like a girlfriend was just texting and she's like, oh yeah, I just heard it's just awful, terrible, stressful, drugs are gonna make you feel terrible, and then it's just awful. And I'm like, I think it's actually gonna be like that. I mean, so I feel like the mental aspect is different and personal for everybody. I was like, because I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like, some things are more stressful for other people, and you're at different places, and each one can go different, lengths of time, and losing someone, having not a miscarriage, but like no longer being pregnant at the 6-week point is different than the 3 month point, right? Very different situations and very different in a mental space. But yeah, so many people don't know and have so many different misconceptions. And then until you start trying, you just really have no idea what it's going to affect you, how it's going to affect you personally,
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that true? That's just
so true. It's
okay.
So true. Like there's so much truth to that. And like so many women go into it thinking, oh, it's just going to be easy, right? Like get off of birth control, I'm going to get pregnant. And that's not always the case. And then sometimes it is the case.
Sometimes it is the case.
To wanting to have baby number 2 and you're like, wait, why isn't it happening?
Yes.
What's going on? What happened so long? Yeah. So it really can come at different times for each person. And it's just so important to remember that and to
what do you do for people? I mean, can you actually help people get pregnant?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's outside of like being in the bedroom with people, we do everything else. So we really are like that support system that helps people get from where they are, not knowing why they're not getting pregnant, not knowing which route to go, even to like walking through the steps to get to what we call the optimal fertile state, which is really where both partners, male and female, are at the point where they're going to make the healthiest egg and the healthiest sperm to be able to fertilize and then have the uterus be ready for implantation, right? So not forgetting that it's not just that positive pregnancy test, but is there enough blood flow and circulation and all of the things to the uterus to make it a healthy, viable pregnancy all the way to baby?
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm guessing that's where the acupuncture, where I was hearing how the acupuncture can help make sure the blood flow and the circulation and the uterus is good and healthy.
Yeah, acupuncture can be great. It's one of the tools that is really lovely in so many ways. And we don't necessarily do acupuncture because we're virtual, but we do use a lot of the acupuncture philosophy and principles and even some of the points. You could
say acupressure
ways.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the acupuncturists I went to, he uses a lot of acupressure, and I was like, oh, you can actually Google it and see the points for fertility. And it's like, do this before, do not do this after, you're pregnant or not pregnant. So it was very interesting down the legs and, different areas, just acupressure. Like simple, at home, acupressure points.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of different tools that you can use to support your fertility journey. And not every person is made the same and not every couple has the same challenges. So really
that's right.
Approaching it from what is this couple's challenge and how do we best support them instead of like a template of like, here, do this.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, have sex. Thank you. I'm aware that is part of it. But even when you think about that, though, when you think about the ovulation, I don't know if most people realize this, but the semen can live for so long, so you can back it up a little bit. So there's a little bit of strategy even when it comes to the actual conception piece.
Yep, absolutely. So there is sperm can live up usually 5 to 7 days is what's been noted. So if you have sex like 5 days before ovulation, the sperm can survive for that long. That's assuming they have nutrients and mitochondrial function to survive that long. But in good, healthy sperm, the semen is healthy. It's going to survive. It has the nutrients to
do its job,
feed itself, and be there when ovulation happens.
And then there's also, right, and you can't just do this every day. Like it's 24 hours. Is that still recommended between
the Chinese medicine principle is like every other day is what has been said. But our approach is a little bit more lax. Like we want you to understand when you're ovulating, all of the fertile signs, like do you have cervical fluid? Is it the right consistency and all of that?
Yeah.
So you're feeling into your body, and then you're letting your body guide you, which feels like, wait, what? Like, I'm not going to like monitor every single minute of every day. But it's really freeing when you think about like your body was actually designed for this, right? Like, human race wants to survive, and it's going to do whatever it needs to survive and procreate. So our approach is a little bit more lax and like, let your body do its thing. So if you feel like having sex every day, great, have sex every day. If you don't, and you're like, maybe we can like have sex twice this cycle, that's fine, no problem. So really like allowing space for couples to not feel so pressured. Oh my God, we have to have sex. We have to have sex.
Right.
And then when you bring the conversation with it into the male side of things, they feel a lot of pressure to perform, right?
And that's not a nice conversation, either. Like, okay, I've got to go, got to go now, and I got to perform, and she's on a time clock. I mean, that's not a great way to feel. No. I'm sure for the guys, but the girls are like, it is what it is,
Yeah,
I understand both sides. It's hard.
Yeah, exactly. So I think once you are in that like optimal fertile state, you can like take off some of the restrictions and reins and like, we have to do this. It's really like, I just did a class for the men in our programs, and I was like, let's talk about the signs that your woman is showing you every single cycle that she's headed into ovulation. And once you start seeing those signs, you don't need to look at her charts, right? You're like, you can if you want to. I'll show you that too. But you can actually go off of the feeling and the energy and like what she's putting out that you are intuitively picking up on all the time. Men know when you're ovulating. Men know when your period's about to come, right? Like,
maybe we don't give them as much credit. Okay, maybe he actually knows. My husband probably knows.
So, like, my husband knows before I know. He's like, oh yeah, your period's coming. I'm like, what? I haven't done anything. I haven't been PMSing, right? Like, I haven't shown any like outward signs yet. He knows. He's just like, oh, your body shifted, or your boobs are smaller, or whatever it is. Like,
And is there a smell, or is that the wrong? Is there like?
There can be, There's like pheromones that we're putting out in different part of our cycles. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So if we're observant, and like, if men are given half the credit of what they deserve, right, then they would just be acknowledged and embraced for what they actually know. And then they can put it in their wheelhouse to be like, oh, I can initiate in the next few days whenever I feel like it, but I'm not on a clock, right?
Yeah, somehow when it comes to that clock, I just feel like what I've seen, personally, is nobody appreciates being like, we have to do this now. Nobody appreciates that.
No, it's just not fun. It's not fun, and it takes the joy out of it. So when men get put back into the driver's seat of initiating and of like being the driver for sex,
so they actually all like of a sudden,
then it's like, it's infusing the fun back in, and then they're like, like, like
need that
their
ego. Okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
totally. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a different approach when it comes to how much, how frequently. You can fall anywhere in that window of like, we have sex every day, we have sex every other day, we have sex when we feel like it, as long as we're within that like ovulation window, that 5 to 7 day period, at least once, right? And if you've had sex once during that window, you're good. Could you have sex more frequently? Sure. Will it massively increase your chances of success? Probably not.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah. So
no way.
Sex doesn't necessarily mean.
Okay, why is this? Well, and I'm going to talk about this too, because over age, you hit a certain number, and then your percentages of actually conceiving go down, right?
Yeah.
So you would think that kind of intuitively, right? You have more sex, more odds, increasing odds, but that's not how it works.
No, not necessarily. So if we have most men, let's just take a round number, and this is like a way overestimate for most men. But let's say a guy has 100 million sperm being released in an ejaculation. Then those 100 million sperm, of those 100 million that pass through the vagina, the cervix, 50% of them died instantly, right? They hit our environment, boom, you're dead.
10% can't make it, 10% are not,
they're not all brutally enough, they're not like they're not the right form.
Right.
So there's a lot. So let's say like 10 million make it to the right fallopian tube where ovulation is going to happen. And then maybe 10 million make it to the other fallopian tube. They're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Now, if we release more, if there's another opportunity,
give you more sex.
Yeah. Then, okay, so now you have 20 million hanging out in both fallopian tubes. And this is just hypothetical, theoretical.
Yeah. Love this.
You ovulate from that side. Did 20 million sperm being there give you a higher chance of success? Potentially. And I say potentially because we're assuming a lot of things. We're assuming A, that these sperm are the healthiest possible sperm available. B, we're assuming that they have the right form and structure and the enzymes that they need to break through the protective layer of the egg.
Right. And then motility. So, can you explain motility?
Motility
is the movement of them to get to the right place? Okay.
So motility is like how well they are self-directing and moving to the direction of the egg. And the egg is releasing chemicals that kind of tells the sperm where to go. It's like a little light that's saying, hey, come find me, right? So there's all of these nuances that are happening. So we're assuming a lot about these sperm. And let's say 20 million sperm are there. If there were 10 million, would that have meant you had half the chance of it fertilizing?
Yeah, does it?
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. So if the sperm are there, if there are sperm, and they are high quality enough to do all of the actions that they need to break, and that like protective layer on the egg is really important because it helps to ensure survival of the fittest, right? Like we want the healthiest possible baby.
We don't want everybody coming in there.
Yeah, we don't want the junk sperm, right?
Yeah.
So
we'll call it junk sperm. That's good. That's good.
So we have this like really protective barrier around the egg, and the healthiest of healthiest sperm is what's going to be able to like break through that layer. So theoretically, like if you have 20 million, 1 out of 20 million versus 1 out of 10 million, have you actually doubled your chances? And is it like statistically significant? In my perspective, I'm like, well, if you have healthy sperm, you have healthy sperm. And yes, we want good numbers of them, but like having more of them hanging out doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. So again, like, yes, we can.
And then you hope the healthy ones go to the right side. So, right? Because is it only your eggs only coming one egg, one side?
One egg, one side. Yeah, so usually.
You hope that 1 out of 20 million, 10 million, 100 million, whatever you've got is going to the right side. Right.
Right.
Oh my gosh, this just is sounding impossible.
And like it's when I first heard like what your body goes through to actually conceive, I was in tears on the floor, like, oh my God, how do we even have babies in this world? Yeah. And then you hear all the things that can go wrong, and in the development process,
right?
Like, wow, it's truly like babies are truly a miracle, right? You've heard this like a million times.
I know.
And once you understand all of the things that had to click into place to make this baby a reality, it's just mind-boggling to me.
Do you think that's why on the first one, when you're like, okay, we're not paying attention, we're really not trying, or we're trying, but we're not doing all this research and understanding this, it's like, okay, cool, we just did it and it happened and it's a big deal. But then you learn about how hard it is. And then you're like, okay, it's not happening every month. And then, oh, statistically speaking, you got one in chance and it's really hard. And how are we going to get through this for 6 weeks? Do you think that's what's going on in our heads
I think,
too? Like, because the more you learn, the more you're like, this is just going to be straight up miracle. You know?
yeah, I think it's important to tap into how much of a miracle it is from this like place of awe and gratitude, more than
it's not
a miracle, as in like it's against all odds kind of thing.
Yes,
right? Like when I heard about it, it was more from this like space of awe. And like, yeah, of course, things can go wrong. Lots of things have to click into place. Lots of things working against us, really.
I know, it's like, I shouldn't get out of bed the first 6 weeks. I'm just kidding. You know, it's unbelievable.
But really, like, use that as a way to fuel and empower the journey rather than like feeling discouraged by it, right? Like millions of babies are born every day. So obviously, like, even though it is such a feat and such a miracle, those miracles are daily.
They are. But there are some of us who are on the journey and we're trying and then it's hard. So, you know, what would you do? Bringing somebody into the practice? Where do we get started? And then I love the holistic aspect, obviously bringing, you know, Eastern meets Western meets conventional, you know.
So our starting point is really like, let's evaluate what's happening in your body, right? So a lot of women are told, oh, you're this age, whatever age that is. And that's the reason why this is so difficult.
Yep.
And honestly, like, we think that women are only being told at above 40 or above 35. The reality is I've talked to 30-year-olds that like this one woman was 32, 9 IVF cycles, and she had started at 29. So by 30, her doctors were saying, oh, you're too old. That's why these IVF cycles are not working. So when we really take a step back, it's literally like we can pass anything off onto age.
Exactly.
That really doesn't make sense. So yeah, to me, it's an excuse. And it's really not accounting for what's changing or what's present for each person. So our approach is like, yes, we want to know your age. Age matters to a certain extent, but age is only matters in the context of what your life has been like. So if you are 40 and have lived your last 10 years I used to live in the Bay Area. So let's say you were in Silicon Valley, you were in the tech space, you're high mission driven company, startup, whatever, and you have worked 10, 12, 14-hour days for the last 10 years, your body is going to say very different things than the 40-year-old who lives in Kansas on a farm that grows their own food and has eggs and all the things, right? So it's going to be a very different reality at 40. So what is it really then that's impacting us more? Is it the fact that we're aging? Or is it the fact that while we're
lifestyle,
we're being exposed to all of these factors that are playing a deeper role? And those factors we can kind of group into 3 main things: toxins, lifestyle. And lifestyle means everything from like stress to how much on the go you are, to how much sleep you get, to what kind of food you eat, right? All of that. Plus your mitochondrial function. And mitochondrial function is at the crux of it.
Can we test for that?
Yes, we can test for that. So there's a test called 8-OHDG that tests for oxidative stress. So it's basically like how much oxidation are your cells producing on a day-to-day basis. And oxidative stress can be high, but if your antioxidant load is high, then it's neutralizing. Versus if your oxidative stress is high and you don't have enough antioxidants, You're not neutralizing all of those stresses. So yeah, we can test for that. And there's really like being able to understand that these three, I kind of call it the three factors: toxins, lifestyle, and mitochondria. Those are going to have a bigger impact than what someone's physical age is.
That's amazing. Like already, that just sounds so much better than me like, oh, you're 30, you're too old. Oh, you're 35-year-old. Oh, you're 40, you're too old. Well,
You're always too old. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Internally, I could be something different, maybe healthy. I love the fact that it's not just like a blanket excuse. It's more like, hey, these are the factors that are controlling this and making a difference. I love these three factors that you have. And you can test for one of them,
you can test for all of them. So you can test for toxin burden. You can test for nutrient status. You can test for mitochondrial function. So we have a lot of functional tests that help us highlight and understand what is it that's happening under the surface that is impacting this person's ability to conceive.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so that just frees us up from this whole idea that age is what is going to determine it. Like, we don't have control.
Like instantly, I even feel better, right?
Yeah,
like, instantly.
Exactly. It's like our age matters, and like all of these other factors probably are having a bigger impact. What's really cool is there's actually one of my friends has a company, a startup, called Clockwise, that it can measure ovarian aging. So it's a kind of pricey test, but it's really worth it for people that are like really freaking out about their age. We can be like, okay, let's test your ovarian age, your biological age, versus your chronological age, right? So once we start differentiating those two, then you can have a 40-year-old in the body of a 30-year-old, and it doesn't really matter. Like, you're going to have the responses of a 30-year-old.
Exactly. But you're also, I feel like if you can test these three factors, you have control over making the changes necessary to get back to where you are versus, like you said, we have no control over our age. And like you said, too, I may be 40 something, and I also may be in a 30-year-old body. So it's so empowering even for me. So hope our listeners are as empowered as I am right now. We'll have this in the show notes. You'll be able to find the test. We'll link to the three factors. And obviously, we'll be linking to Dr. A and her holistic site as well, the Holistic Fertility website. So that's incredible already, empowering. And that's just it could be for the men, but that's just for the women, right?
That's just for the women.
Yeah, there's also the male side of this.
Absolutely. And like, men get kind of shafted on the fertility journey. It's sad to say this, but the reality is, if you go to a conventional fertility clinic, they're going to treat your partner like he's a sperm producer, not a human being that has emotions and diet and lifestyle and all of the things.
Right. You're not a player, right?
Right. So from our side, we do consider the male factor as a pretty big factor, actually. So we can, of course, test the sperm. That's the beginning.
Right.
That's the tip of the iceberg, really. The sperm has count, motility, and morphology. Those are the three factors that matter on the male side. You can also test the semen. Is there white blood cells, round cells in the semen? And that is telling us that maybe there's an immunological component happening locally that is causing the sperm to be off or killing more of the sperm than it should, whatever. And then there's the fifth factor is agglutination, and that's like the stickiness factor of the sperm. So if you have millions of sperm, but they're all clumped together, they're not swimming. They're definitely not making it to the egg, because an egg is not going to allow a clump of 10 sperm to get through and fertilize it, right? So those are the things that we can pay attention just from the semen analysis. And then we have a bunch of factors that are really generic, really, like our primary care could be testing us for all of these things, but they don't have the ability to interpret it from the fertility side, right? So for us, we're looking at blood sugar and insulin. Those are really important. And most of these factors, believe it or not, we know that they have an impact on fertility outcomes. So we know that men with potentially blood sugar issues, for example, are going to have a harder time fertilizing a woman's eggs, and she's going to have a likelier chance of pregnancy loss if he has those factors, right? Wild. So we know that this is happening. We don't know why it's happening. Like, we can't tell.
Okay,
You can have
so
a guy with...
it is mind blowing, right? So you think about like, okay, don't drink alcohol and caffeine, but you never think like, okay, how is your actual diet? Like, and not just ours, like the men's too. So would you see this on any of the tests, the motility, or is it just completely separate?
Separate.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so get this, like when I first started, this is 14 years ago, and one of our specialties is pregnancy after a loss. So a lot of couples will come to us and say, hey, we've had 2 losses, 3 losses. We need to do something different here.
Right.
And I started testing the guys just out of curiosity, right? I was like, okay, well, we're going to test your sperm, but I also want to know like a full health check, right? Like, I just want to do a checkup. I don't want to miss anything. So I'll check it. And repeatedly, these guys would have amazing sperm based on my numbers, which is kind of on the high end of normal.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, well, let's like look at your blood chemistries. And almost all of them would either have blood sugar, insulin, or homocysteine issues.
And what's the homocysteine?
Homocysteine is basically a blood factor that is related to methylation. So it's how well our epigenetics is functioning, how well are we absorbing and utilizing the nutrients. We know that folate, for example, has a role to play in sperm production, but it's not visible in a sperm test, right? So it's affecting the DNA of the sperm, but it's not
on any test.
It's not like visible under a microscope. So if we looked at the DNA of the sperm, I'm sure it would show things, but
you can't test that.
We can test it. It's less common, and it's
because you
slightly more expensive. Yeah.
After. Okay.
Yeah. So we can test these factors on the guy's side, and 99% of the time, couples with the losses, of course, there were some things happening on the female side, so it wasn't just him, but the things on the female side, and then you add to it one of these factors on the male side, and I was like, bingo, this is why we're having pregnancy loss. And they were like, what are you talking about? You're a nutcase, right? And at the time, there was no studies. So this was just me like repeatedly trying labs.
Fix.
Yeah. And be like, well, it just makes sense to me that all of your factors would be at optimal. And if you're pre-diabetic, you're not optimal. I don't care what the labs and research says, right? Like, I'm just going to like address what I see that's happening. So this is how it started. And about 3 years ago, studies came out that sure enough, these blood sugar, insulin, and homocysteine are all factors in whether or not we're going to go to have a healthy baby at the end of the road. So I was like, oh, bingo, now there's research to prove this. But like years ago, there wasn't research on this. It was just like me being like, well, I'm doing a holistic workup and this is what I see and this is what we're going to address. And we're just all like, is this going to be enough? Like, this is what he just needs to fix his diet. Like, yes, fix the diet, lose some weight, get rid of the abdominal fat. Let's do this. And then they would get pregnant and have the
I'm sure those guys loved you.
They did. They were
I know.
Wait, I look better.
Yeah.
I feel better. I have better energy, better sex drive. Like, guys do love us because
and you made them look better, feel better, and have more energy, and they're back in the power, and you give them their power back. So yeah, they must really love you.
Yep. So it's really like what's possible for a couple is not just how do we get a positive pregnancy test, but we're really like, if we can address these things while someone is going through the fertility journey, then we've just saved them like 10, 15 years of their life. And not to mention quality of life, because these guys are not getting workups. No one's looking at men from the aspect of like, can we prevent stupid shit from happening? Stupid shit meaning diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease,
important things,
methylation function,
things that you can like take control of your health over, right?
Yeah, things that are
get it fixed,
completely addressable, especially when they're early on.
Yep.
That really have no place, I feel like, in our world if we are able to educate and make the lifestyle shifts from the beginning.
But we have to make the lifestyle shifts. And you know what's beautiful is that they're going to be motivated because they want a baby.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you get to a certain age, you're like, I'm just going to keep eating like this.
Right.
So it's like, this can really incentivize people to really change those habits young and hopefully stick with it. You know, chronic disease is brutal and so costly. It costs your life, right?
Yeah. And like, you may not die from diabetes, but you have a declining quality of life for years, like 20, 30 years. You're going to live with this disease. Like, if we could have prevented it before you even knew that it was like, it was so early, right? You're like 35. These guys are not thinking about what can happen in the future. They're just like, we just want to have a baby.
Yeah,
like, yeah. And this is going to make a difference in you having a baby. It's going to make a difference in how healthy your baby is.
And it might also save you $20,000 to $50,000 in, an IVF cost.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, you're really saving them big time. They owe you. They owe you big time.
Yeah. It's just so much is possible when we're in this like fertility journey. And, like, it's hard. I get it. It's not fun when you're in it. But looking back, you're like, oh my gosh, like I basically shifted my life around, completely turned it inside out. And I feel better for it. And that's the proof that I'm like in a different place. I'm moving in a different direction. And
you can support another children being, right? Or making a baby.
Yeah. Making a baby. And there's so much data now on the health, the maternal and paternal health. Preconception is connected to childhood illnesses. There are children now with type 1 and type 2 diabetes as a 9-year-old, right? Like, if you could have prevented that in preconception, why wouldn't you? Right? Like, that's
terrifying.
So easy that we can do that. And it's terrifying that it's happening, but really doable if we can catch it early.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been Sofia Unfiltered, a podcast by Sofia Health, the #1 marketplace for health and wellness. Find services, classes, and products from the top health and wellness providers. Book an appointment or join live classes now. I'm your host, Riley Rees. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it in the comments section of your favorite podcast provider or with a 5-star rating. Let us know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was, or share it with someone you hope to inspire. Join us again next time for more real conversations, stories, and insights that help empower you with the knowledge and inspiration needed to transform how we care for ourselves.